Right now, there's a shelf in your kitchen you're paying too much for. Little plastic bottles, vitamin C, magnesium, fish oil, a multivitamin the size of a horse pill. For a lot of folks, that's $40 a month. Every month, feeding a shelf. And here's the part almost nobody tells you. Most of what's inside those bottles your body can pull straight from food. Ordinary food. The kind that's probably in your fridge right now. The supplement business is worth tens of billions a year. A good part of it you could leave on the store shelf. Number 2 covers a mineral most folks have never even heard of. 1 bite does it. 2 bites, and you've already had too much. Number 8 holds more nourishment in 1 spoonful than the biggest multivitamin in that whole cabinet, and it costs about $1. Number 10 carries the same sleep signal your body makes when the lights go down, the one they bottle and sell as a tablet. It grows on a tree. Wait till we get to number 13. It comes from the sea, and it quietly runs a gland most folks forget they've even got. Quick word before we start. This is food, not medicine. Whatever your doctor's got you on, you keep right on taking it. 15 foods, all common, all at any grocery store, or growing in a pot by the back door. Some swap out a single bottle. A few clear show half that shelf on their own. We'll start with the one that beats an orange at its own game, and it isn't even close. Everybody knows the orange. It's the poster child for vitamin C. Gets all the credit on the front of the juice carton. But it isn't the champion, not by a long way. A single red bell pepper carries somewhere around 2 to 3 times the vitamin C of a medium orange, and it does it without a spoonful of sugar riding along. The reason it matters is simple. Vitamin C is what your body reaches for when it wants to build collagen, and collagen's just the mortar between the bricks. It holds your skin together, your gums, the walls of your blood vessels. When that mortar runs thin, things start to loosen. Old sailors found that out the hard way, out at sea with no fresh food. Scurvy, bleeding gums, cuts that wouldn't close. We hardly ever see it now, and food is the whole reason why. Now, vitamin C is a delicate thing. Shy of heat, cook that pepper down into a stew, and a good part of it walks out the door with the steam. So the pepper does its best work raw. I'll slice one into strips and eat it with my lunch the way some folks eat chips. Crunchy, sweet, no fuss at all. Red ones, mind you. A green pepper's usually just a red one picked early, before it's finished loading up. The red's had its full time on the vine to ripen, the way the creator intended it. And you can taste that patience. Studies link a diet rich in vitamin C with a steadier immune response, particularly as we get on in years. Nothing dramatic. It won't stop a cold in its tracks, whatever the label promises. But a well-supplied body tends to weather things a little better. And there's a bonus most folks miss. That same vitamin C helps your body grab the iron out of your beans and your greens, so a pepper eaten alongside them quietly doubles up the good it's doing. 1 good pepper a day covers most grown adults with room to spare. That's a bottle you can leave on the shelf. If you're on blood thinners or you've got kidney trouble, have a word with your doctor before you change much, since a few folks do need to watch their intake closer than the rest of us. For most, though, it's just a pepper. Simple, cheap, already at the store. This next one's the reason I told you to wait. It's a nut. A big, smooth Brazil nut. The kind that always got left in the bottom of the holiday bowl when I was small. Nobody wanted them. Turns out they were the most valuable thing in there. Brazil nuts are just about the richest food source of selenium we know of. 1 good-sized nut can hold your whole day's worth. Sometimes a good bit more. Selenium's a trace mineral, meaning your body only wants a pinch of it, but that pinch does real work. It helps run your thyroid, that little butterfly-shaped gland in your neck that sets the pace for your whole body. And it's part of your body's rust-proofing crew. Let me explain that rust idea because it's the heart of it. Every day, just by breathing and living, your cells throw off a bit of wear, like the way a bit of iron left out in the damp starts to brown at the edges. Your body's got a cleanup crew that keeps that internal rust in check. Selenium helps build the tools that crew uses. Skimp on it, and the cleanup falls behind. Now, this is the part folks get wrong, and I mean it as a warning. More is not better with this one. Selenium is one of those minerals where the helpful dose and the harmful dose sit close together. Eat a whole bag of these and you can end up with brittle nails, hair coming loose, a taste of metal in your mouth. So the method is simple. 1 nut a day, maybe 2. That's it. Research links a steady, sensible selenium supply with a calmer thyroid and a firmer immune defense, and one plain nut carries you there without ever twisting the cap off a bottle. Set them by the coffee pot so you remember, and don't treat them like popcorn. For most people, one Brazil nut covers a mineral you'd otherwise buy in a bottle, for pennies, with no pill at all. If you've got a thyroid condition and you're already on medication for it, mention this to your doctor because selenium and the thyroid are close partners and your dose may need looking at. But the everyday version is about as easy as it gets. One nut. Done. I keep a jar of these on the counter, and I'll tell you why in a minute. Pumpkin seeds. The little green ones, sometimes sold as pepitas. Don't let the size fool you. For magnesium, they're one of the best mouthfuls of food there is. Magnesium's the quiet one. Doesn't get the fame of calcium or iron, but it's tied up in hundreds of little jobs around the body. The one I always come back to is this. Magnesium is the mineral that tells your muscles to let go. Calcium tells them to squeeze. Magnesium tells them to relax. When you're short on it, that off switch gets sticky. Muscles that won't unclench, an eyelid that twitches, sleep that won't come easy, legs that cramp in the night. And a lot of us are running low without knowing it. Modern soil's tired, our food's more processed than it used to be, and magnesium is one of the first things to slip through the cracks. A small handful of these seeds, an ounce or so, gives you a real chunk of the day's magnesium. They've got a bit of zinc riding along too, which your body leans on for healing and for keeping the immune system honest. I eat them plain, straight from the jar. You can toast them in a dry pan for a few minutes till they pop and puff, and that's a fine snack. Just go easy on the salt if your doctor's got you watching it. Some folks stir them into oatmeal, some scatter them over a salad. Doesn't much matter how. Now, magnesium won't fix a sleepless night on its own, and I'd never tell you it would. But research does link low magnesium with poorer sleep and more muscle complaints, and topping it up from food is about the gentlest way there is. It does quiet work for the heart, too. Magnesium helps the one muscle that never rests keep its steady beat, and a good supply is linked with healthier blood pressure as the years go on. A handful of seeds versus another bottle in the cabinet. I know which one I'd rather keep by the kettle. Fish oil. It's one of the biggest sellers in that whole cabinet, and along comes a little tin, cheaper than the pills, beating it on almost every count. Sardines, humble, honest little fish. The reason people take fish oil at all is for the omega-3 fats, the ones called EPA and DHA. Think of those as the oil that keeps the hinges in your body swinging quiet, your joints, and the soft gray machinery upstairs in your head. Your body can't make them well on its own, so they've got to come in from outside. A single tin of sardines can hold more of those omega-3s than a couple of the capsules, and it comes in the real food, not squeezed out and bottled. But that's not the half of it. Sardines are one of the few foods that carry a real dose of vitamin D, the sunshine vitamin, the one so many of us come up short on, living the way we do indoors. And because they're small, you eat the little soft bones right along with the meat. You'll never notice them. Those bones bring calcium, so you're feeding your own bones with theirs. 3 bottles then, done in by 1 tin. Fish oil, vitamin D, calcium. That's a fair bit of shelf space back. There's a reason old-timers ate this way and stayed spry. And a comfort for the worriers, because sardines are little fish, low down the food chain. They carry very little of the mercury that troubles the big fish like tuna. So, you get the good of the ocean with a lot less of the worry. I keep mine on toast, mash them right out of the tin onto a piece of good bread, a squeeze of lemon, a crack of pepper, and that's lunch. If sardines are new to you, start with the ones packed in olive oil or spring water, milder than you'd fear. And if you're on a blood thinner, or you're one to watch your salt, check the label and check with your doctor first, since these do carry sodium. But at $1 or $2 a tin, it's a mighty good bargain. Probiotics. There's a whole aisle of them now. Some kept in a little refrigerator by the pharmacy, and they'll cost you a pretty penny. But think on this. People have been making their own for thousands of years, in a crock, out of a cabbage, sauerkraut. Down in your belly, you've got a whole living garden of tiny helpers, billions of them, and they earn their keep. They help you break down your food, they help make certain vitamins, and they keep the troublemakers from taking over. When that garden's thin or lopsided, everything from your digestion to your mood can feel it. Fermented foods like real sauerkraut carry live bacteria that help restock that garden, the same friendly sort you'd pay for in a bottle. There's more than helpers in that jar, too. Real sauerkraut keeps a good bit of the cabbage's own vitamin C, and that's exactly how the old sailors kept scurvy off on the long voyages. Barrels of the stuff down in the hold. Clever folks, our ancestors. But you've got to buy the right jar. And this is where most folks trip up. The sauerkraut that lives on the shelf at room temperature in vinegar has usually been cooked in the can. Heat kills the good bugs dead. You want the raw kind from the refrigerated section, the one that says live or unpasteurized right on the label. If it's not cold, it's not alive. You don't need a plateful. A forkful alongside your dinner is plenty, most days of the week. Start small, a spoonful, because when you first bring those helpers back, your belly can gurgle a bit while it settles. That's normal. And if you're on a sodium-restricted diet, or your doctor's got you on anything for your gut, run it by them first, since kraut is salty by nature. 1 old cabbage, a bit of salt, and thyme. That's the whole recipe folks paid a fortune to forget. Now, this next one's cheaper than dirt and older than most nations. Lentils, a little dried disc you can buy by the bag for next to nothing, and it'll fill in 2 of the most common gaps I ever saw at the bedside: iron and folate. Iron's the one that carries oxygen around your body, riding in your blood like little delivery trucks. Run low, and you feel it. Tired down to your bones, pale, short of breath climbing the stairs. Anemia. I saw more of it than you'd think, especially in women and in older folks who'd stopped eating much meat. A bowl of lentils won't fix a true deficiency on its own. That's a doctor's job with real blood work. But for keeping the tank topped up, they're a workhorse. A little kitchen trick, worth its weight. The iron in plants is a touch harder for your body to grab than the iron in meat, but squeeze a bit of lemon over your lentils or eat them with something rich in vitamin C, and you throw the door wide open. That's why an old pot of lentils with tomato just works. The 2 were made to keep company. The other gift here is folate. That's the natural form of the folic acid they sell in a bottle, the one that's so important for making new cells and healthy blood. Lentils are one of the finest sources going, and they're kind to your gut on the way through, full of the sort of fiber your belly garden feeds on. And there's a quiet mountain of plant protein in a bowl of lentils besides, the kind that fills you right up and holds you steady so you're not back at the cupboard an hour later. A whole meal's worth of good out of 1 cheap pot. Cooking them couldn't be simpler. No soaking, unlike the bigger beans. Rinse a cup, simmer them in about 3 cups of water or broth for 20 minutes or so till they're tender, and that's a pot of goodness that'll stretch across days. A bay leaf, a clove of garlic, a pinch of salt. If you've been told to watch your potassium for your kidneys, mention beans to your doctor since they carry a fair bit. Otherwise, cook a big pot and thank the Lord for a food this honest and this cheap. Vitamin A. Folks buy it for their eyes mostly and for their skin. And there's a food so full of it, so bright with it, that one of them covers your whole day. The sweet potato. That deep orange isn't for show. It's the vitamin, glowing right through. Now this is the thing I love about the sweet potato, and it's a clever bit of design. It doesn't hand you vitamin A straight. It hands you beta-carotene, that orange color, and your body turns it into vitamin A only as it needs it, and no faster. Think of it like a pantry instead of a plate on the table. Your body takes what it wants and leaves the rest in store. That's why you can't really overdo vitamin A from a sweet potato the way you can from a high-dose pill. And what's it for? All this vitamin A. It's the one your eyes lean on to see in dim light, the reason our grandmothers swore carrots were good for the eyes. They weren't wrong. It keeps the skin sound, too, and the soft linings inside you, your nose, and your gut. The body's frontline barriers against whatever's going around. Research links a good vitamin A supply with a steadier immune defense. The sweet potato brings more than the one gift. Mind you, there's a good dose of potassium in there, the mineral that helps balance out all the salt in our modern eating, and a soft fiber that sits kind on the gut. A generous root, all round. One little trick for the pantry. Vitamin A likes to travel with a bit of fat, so a knob of butter or a drizzle of olive oil on your sweet potato doesn't just taste better, It helps your body actually take up the goodness. God gave us the flavor and the sense in the same bite. Cooking's easy as can be. Scrub one, poke it a few times with a fork, and bake it whole at around 400 degrees for the better part of an hour till it goes soft and the sugars start to caramelize at the ends. That's a whole side dish, sweet enough to feel like a treat. Cheap, filling, and gentler on your blood sugar than the white potato besides. One of the kindest foods there is. This is number 8, the one I called nature's multivitamin. And I know, half of you just wrinkled your nose. Liver. Beef liver. Stay with me a minute, because pound for pound, there may be no more nourishing food on the whole earth. Open up a multivitamin bottle and read the label, all those letters and minerals. Now, liver holds nearly the whole list in one food, and in a form your body knows how to use. It's loaded with vitamin B12, more in one small serving than most folks get in a week. That's the one your nerves and your blood depend on, and it's the very one older bodies get worse at pulling from food as the years go by. I saw that gap open up in patient after patient. Alongside the B12, you get that pantry-form vitamin A we just talked about, a heavy dose of iron in the kind your body grabs easiest, plus copper and folate and more. It truly is a multivitamin that grew in an animal instead of a factory. Our great-grandmothers knew it. They fed liver to the weak and the recovering because they'd watched it bring people back. There's no factory on this earth that can match the balance struck in that one dark little organ, every letter and mineral sitting together in the very proportions a body knows how to use, the way it was meant to be eaten. But this one comes with real rules, more than the others, so listen close. Because liver is so rich in vitamin A, a little goes a long way, and too much of that ready-made form can be a genuine problem. So we're talking a small serving, once a week, not every day. And this is important. If you're pregnant or trying to be, you should not eat liver without your doctor's say-so, because that concentrated vitamin A can be risky in pregnancy. Folks with gout may need to go easy too. For everyone else, the gentle way in is a spoonful of chicken liver pate on a cracker, or a small piece of calf's liver cooked quick and pink in a hot pan with onions. The way it's been done forever, once a week, and you've fed your body from a food that shames the whole vitamin aisle. Just treat it with the respect a food this powerful deserves. This next one fills a bottle. Almost nobody thinks about till they read it on a label. Vitamin E. And the fix for it is a seed you can buy anywhere, that kids eat at the ball game and spit the shells of. Sunflower seeds. Let me tell you what vitamin E actually does, because it's a pretty picture once you see it. Your body's built of countless tiny cells, and each one's wrapped in a delicate skin, made partly of fat. Now, fat can go rancid, the way butter left out too long turns and smells off. Vitamin E is the bodyguard that stands watch over those fatty wrappers and keeps them from turning. It's part of that same rust-proofing crew we keep coming back to, the one that fights the everyday wear inside you. A small handful of sunflower seeds, about an ounce, gives you a big share of the day's vitamin E, which is more than you'd think for such a little thing. They bring a bit of magnesium and healthy fat along for the ride too. Good company for the pumpkin seeds in the jar. Those good fats do a kindness for the heart, and the vitamin E riding along helps keep the fats in your blood from turning, the way old grease turns in a cold pan. A little goes a long way here, so a small handful's plenty. No need to make a meal of them. I like the raw, unsalted kind. The roasted, salted ones taste grand. I won't pretend otherwise, but the salt adds up quick. So if your doctor's got you watching it, reach for plain. Scatter a spoonful over a salad, stir them into your morning oats, or just eat them by the handful on the porch while the fog burns off. Simple food. Steady good. And one more empty spot in that cabinet. This is the one I promised you back at the start. The sleep tablet that grows on a tree. Tart cherries. The sour ones. The Montmorency kind. Not the sweet cherries you eat by the bowl in the sunshine. You know the little tablets folks take for sleep. Melatonin. Well, melatonin's not some invention of a laboratory. It's a signal your own body makes when the light goes down. The one that tells you it's time to wind for the night. And that's the wonder of it. Tart cherries are one of the few foods that carry a bit of that same sleep signal, right there in the fruit. Now I'll be straight with you, the way I always am. The studies on tart cherries and sleep are small and early, and the effect they find is gentle, not a knockout. So don't expect a fruit to work like a sedative, and don't come off anything your doctor's prescribed. But a little tart cherry juice in the evening is a soft, pleasant thing to try, and it comes with none of the grogginess some folks get from the pills. There's a second gift in these cherries, too. They're deep red for a reason, full of the same sort of coloring compounds that give red fruit its fight, and research links them with calmer, less achy muscles after a hard day's work. The old runners have known about tart cherry juice for years. There's an older country use, too, for the gout, that hot swelling in the big toe. Folks reached for tart cherries long before anyone could say why, and it turns out they may help the body clear the very stuff that brings a gout flare on. The old wives were onto something, as they so often were. The easy way in is a small glass of unsweetened tart cherry juice about an hour before bed, or a spoonful of the dried cherries if you can't find the juice. Watch the sugar on the sweetened bottles. They'll sneak it in. And if you've got sugar troubles or you're on sleep medicine already, talk to your doctor before you lean on it. But as bedtime rituals go, a little red glass beats a plastic bottle by the bed. We've done probiotics with the kraut, but this next food's a whole toolbox in one cup, so it earns its own spot: plain yogurt, and its thinner, livelier cousin, kefir. Start with calcium, the one folks buy by the bottle for their bones. A cup of yogurt carries a real load of it, and it comes packaged with protein, which your body needs to hold onto muscle as the years stack up. That's a pairing that matters more than most people realize, because strong bones with no muscle to steady them still leads to falls. Yogurt feeds both at once. Then there's the live cultures, same friendly helpers we met in the sauerkraut, restocking that belly garden with every spoonful. Kefir goes even further, carrying a wider mix of the little helpers than plain yogurt does. More strains, a bigger crew. And it's a kindness, this. Because those cultures pre-digest some of the milk sugar, a lot of folks who can't take plain milk find they get along with yogurt and kefir just fine. And that protein does a second good turn past the muscle. It keeps you satisfied longer, so a bowl of plain yogurt of a morning holds off the mid-morning grazing far better than the sugary cereals ever did. Steady fuel, not a quick flare. The whole trick is one word on the tub: plain. The fruit on the bottom kind, the ones in the pretty cups aimed at children, are often more sugar than anything, and that undoes the good. Buy it plain and sweeten it yourself if you must, with a little honey or some of those tart cherries we just talked about. A cup a day, calcium and protein, and live cultures all at once. 3 bottles beaten by 1 spoon. There's a whole shelf of fiber powders now, the kind you stir into a glass of water and choke down. But a tiny seed does that same job as real food and brings friends along. Chia, little gray specks, hardly bigger than a grain of sand. Drop chia seeds in a little water and watch what happens. In a few minutes, they swell up and turn to a soft jelly. Well, they do that very same thing gently inside you, and that jelly is soluble fiber. 2 good deeds come of it. It keeps you regular, keeps things moving along the way they should, and it feeds that belly garden of helpers we keep tending, because good fiber is exactly what those little fellows eat. On top of the fiber, chia carries a plant form of those omega-3 fats, the ones we praised in the Sardines. Now, I'll be honest, the plant kind isn't quite the same as the fish kind. Your body has to do a bit of converting and only takes up a portion. But for folks who won't eat fish, it's a welcome bit extra, riding along with everything else. A little calcium in there, too. All that soft, gel-making fiber does one more heart kindness on its way through. It helps sweep along a bit of cholesterol, and it steadies how fast your meal turns to sugar, so you get a calmer, longer burn instead of a spike and a slump. Not bad for a seed you could hold 100 of in your palm. The pleasant way to eat them is to make a little pudding. A few spoonfuls of chia stirred into a cup of milk, dairy, or plant left in the icebox overnight. By morning, it's set soft, like a tapioca, and you top it with fruit. That's breakfast. One rule you must not skip: drink plenty of water with chia, always, because a dry seed that swells needs the water to do its work kindly. Start with a spoonful and build up slow. And if your gut's tender or you've had trouble down there, check with your doctor first. This next one comes from the sea, and it fixes a gap most folks have never heard of till their doctor mentions their thyroid. Kelp, seaweed. The dark green ribbons the ocean grows for free. Remember that little butterfly gland in your neck? The thyroid. The one selenium helps run. Well, to do its job, it needs a mineral called iodine, and iodine's the fuel it can't make for itself. Picture the thyroid as the thermostat for your whole body, setting the pace, the warmth, the energy. Starve it of iodine, and the thermostat sputters, and folks feel it as tiredness, cold hands, a heaviness that won't lift. Seaweed is about the richest food source of iodine on the planet. We used to get iodine easy from iodized salt, but a lot of folks have moved to the fancy sea salts that don't carry it, and some have quietly drifted low without knowing. A little seaweed sets that right. But, and this is a real but, kelp is so strong that too much iodine is its own trouble and can throw the very thyroid you're trying to help right off. So this one's about a pinch, not a plateful. Beyond the iodine, seaweed carries a whole scatter of trace minerals the sea holds, and the tired land often doesn't. A little of this and that your body's quietly glad of. The coastal peoples who ate it lived long and kept their wits about them. And I don't reckon that's mere chance. The gentle way is a small piece of kelp dropped into a pot of soup as it simmers, the way they do in the old coastal kitchens, then fished back out. Or the sheets of nori, the ones sushi's wrapped in, which are milder and easier to judge. Just a little, a few times a week, not every day. And because iodine and the thyroid are so tightly bound, if you've got any thyroid condition at all, or you're on medication for one, please do not start eating seaweed without talking to your doctor first. Handled with care, it's a gift from the sea. Now this next one's so plain you've probably got it in the cupboard and never gave it a second glance. Oats, the old porridge oat. And it does a job people buy fancy fiber pills and even worry over their cholesterol for. Oats hold a special kind of soluble fiber, and it's got a name worth knowing, beta-glucan. Picture it as a soft sponge that moves through you. As it goes, it soaks up some of the cholesterol along the way and carries it out, instead of letting it settle where you don't want it. This one's solid enough that the food authorities let oat makers say it right on the box, that oat fiber can help lower cholesterol as part of a sensible diet. That's not marketing. That's earned. That same soft sponge does you a second favor. It slows down how fast your meal turns to sugar in your blood, which smooths out the sharp spikes and dips, and helps with the day's sugar management, gentle and steady. And of course, it feeds that garden of helpers in your gut. Same as the chia and the lentils. Fiber's the food they thrive on, and a bowl of oats has a way of sitting with you. That soft, thick fiber keeps you full clear through the morning, so you're not hunting a snack by 10 o'clock, and it gives up its energy slow and even instead of all in a rush. A steady, honest start to a day. Reach for the plain rolled oats or the steel cut, the ones that take a few minutes to cook. Steer clear of those little sugared packets, the flavored instant kind. They've got so much sugar stirred in they work against you. A warm bowl in the morning, a scatter of those seeds we talked about, a few berries, and you fed your heart, your gut, and your steady energy all in one cheap breakfast. If you've got a swallowing trouble or a bowel condition, mention adding fiber to your doctor. But for most of us, a bowl of oats is about as friendly as food gets. Last one, and it's an odd little thing that folks either already swear by or have never once heard of. Nutritional yeast, yellow flakes in a shaker with a savory, cheesy sort of taste. It stands in for a whole row of the bottle, the B vitamins. Now don't let the name spook you. This isn't the live yeast that puffs up your bread. It's been gently deactivated, so it does no rising, just brings the flavor and the goodness. And its gift is the B vitamins, that whole family of letters. Think of the B's as the spark plugs of the body, the little sparks that turn the food you eat into the energy you run on. Run low on them, and you feel it as a flat, dragging sort of tired that sleep doesn't seem to touch. This is the part that matters most for some of you. A lot of nutritional yeast is fortified with vitamin B12, and B12 is the tricky one, the vitamin you mostly get from animal foods. So for folks who eat little or no meat, this is one of the surer ways to bring it in from a plant food. Check the label to be sure yours carries the B12, since not every brand adds it. There's a bit more tucked in these flakes than the vitamins besides. Nutritional yeast carries a fair share of complete protein, all the building blocks your body can't make for itself. which is a rare and welcome thing to find in a plant food. A savory little all-rounder. Using it couldn't be easier, and it's a joy, honestly. Sprinkle it over hot popcorn and it tastes like a light cheese. Stir it into soup, dust it over pasta or a plate of vegetables. A couple of spoonfuls a day is plenty. It's one of those foods that makes eating well feel like a treat instead of a chore. And that's the whole idea we've been circling, isn't it? Food that gives back. Now, let's stand back and look at what we've done here. 15 foods, and between them, we've covered vitamin C, selenium, magnesium, the omega-3s, vitamin D, probiotics, iron, folate, vitamin A, B12, vitamin E, calcium, iodine, the Bs, fiber for your heart and your gut, even a little help getting to sleep. That's the better part of a whole cabinet. Walk through one plate at a time. Not a pill among them, and not a single promise I couldn't stand behind. Look at that list against the bottles in your cabinet, and you start to see the truth of it. This isn't just a pile of groceries. It's a different way of looking at your own kitchen. Most of what those little bottles promise, God already tucked into food, in a form your body was built to recognize. I'm not here to tell you to throw your supplements in the bin. Some folks truly need them, and if your doctor's got you on one, you keep taking it. That's my second and last reminder of the day, and I mean it kindly. I'm a retired nurse, not your prescriber, and real deficiencies need real blood work and real medical care, not a video from a woman in her garden. But for the everyday business of keeping a body well supplied and steady, food comes first. It's cheaper, it's kinder, and it comes with 100 good things the pill makers haven't even learned to bottle yet. That's the blessing of it, to my mind. So here's my question for you, and I do read the comments. I want to know which single food off this list you're actually going to bring home this week, and which bottle you reckon it'll let you retire. Tell me the pair, the food and the bottle it replaces on your shelf. I'm curious which ones folks trust enough to make the swap. If this was useful to you, do subscribe and stay a while, because I put out a new one of these regular, and there's always another food worth knowing about. Thank you kindly for spending this time with me. Take care of the body you were given, and may the Lord keep you well. God bless.